Think of the people you interact with every day. Would you want to spend a day in a canoe with them? Hi, I'm Nathan Mercero, CEO of Planning Alternatives. We're a disruptive brand in the financial planning space with a point of view that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Growing up in a small town in Canada, I experienced examples of families with money and without. It started me on this journey of understanding wealth and the idea that spending a day in a canoe with someone could be one of the best investments you could make. Join me as I sit down with leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, rule breakers, and friends to discover their perspective of true wealth. And maybe you'll start to shift yours. I'm excited today to be joined by Rajeev Kapur. Over a 30-year career, Rajeev's been part of the leadership team at Dell, where he built a billion-dollar-plus business in the U.S. and then managed Dell's China and South Asia growth to record levels. He's also been the president and CEO of 3 small to mid-sized companies with 3 exits. He attributes his success to building winning cultures, innovative strategies, and creating high-performance teams. He's an accomplished keynote speaker on artificial intelligence and leadership, having spoken to companies and organizations around the world. Member of YPO, where Rajeev and I will bump into each other periodically. Forbes magazine in 2025 named Rajeev the top 5 leader bringing AI to everyone. And at the 2025 YPO Edge Barcelona conference, he was one of the highest rated and in-demand speakers for his talk, A Taste of AI. In 2022, became a best-selling author when he launched his new leadership book, Chase Greatness, Enlightened Leadership for the Next Generation of Disruption. The book was the most downloaded leadership book on Amazon from mid-November 21 to February of 22. In August of 23, his book, AI Made Simple, A Beginner's Guide to Generative AI, Generative Intelligence, became available and is a bestseller. And the 3rd edition of this book will launch, or has launched, and his new book, Prompting Made Simple, is now available. Rajeev, it's been a pleasure to spend time together. I'm looking forward to our time for Outlook 2026, which is just around the corner, and you'll be sharing your insights around your thoughts about AI. So welcome to Day in a Canoe podcast. And when you think about some of the things that you're working on right now, what most energizes you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Nathan. And it was great seeing you the other day. I saw you twice in almost a month, right? But I have to ask a question before I answer your question, which is, why aren't we in a canoe?
We start with a
really want to know.
and then, you coming to Jackson Hole for our Outlook event, we can, I actually have a surprise canoe for you. I'm holding that. We may not get it in the water, but you will see and participate in a canoe with me.
All right. I don't know if you could take this Southern California boy and stick him in a canoe in the middle of winter in Jackson, but we'll go there.
We'll take pictures.
So you know what really energizes me is that every day I wake up and I think there's a new opportunity. I'm the type of person where it's really hard for me to turn off my brain, and I always come up with new ideas, and using tools like AI and ChatGPT primarily and others. It helps me cultivate my thoughts. It helps me think about new business ideas for the business. It helps me for my day job. It helps me think about, new ideas that I have that can help me put together the business plans for these things. It helps me think about new ways to be, a better leader. It helps me think about new ways to be a better father or a better husband or whatever. So look, I just think we're very lucky to be in the time we're in. I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunity to be created. Last week, as I think maybe when you and I talked to Palm Springs, but last week I was in Bermuda, of all places. I opened up my second Rajeev Kapur Center for AI Leadership at the Bermuda All-Girls High School. So now here you have the small little island nation of Bermuda that usually gets overlooked. You have the All-Girls High School now has an AI lab, 20 Dell computers, ChatGPT, everything they need. They have Raspberry Pis, all donated by me, and it's all set up. And just being able to do that really filled my cup, and really excited. And the first one was in Nogales, Arizona, and that one is going gangbusters. They love it out there. And it's being able to help these, smaller communities embrace things like AI and really help bring the message of AI to the masses is my focus.
You become one of the most trusted voices in demystifying AI. What do you see as a big misconception that business leaders or individuals have right now about generative AI?
Well, there's a couple. I think some of them think it's a silver bullet, and it's not a silver bullet. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be issues. A lot of people, when they see AI, and this is the problem with the industry, the AI industry, they're releasing way too many features and way too many solutions so fast that CEOs and leaders of businesses are struggling trying to figure out which ones to do. So I got a call from a fellow IPOer, not last week, but the week before. He said, Rajeev, I spent $60,000 on AI tools and we're nowhere. And I feel like the tools I spent the money on are obsolete. And what's happening is that people are getting so enamored because they see something on Twitter or they see something on Instagram or they see something somewhere. Oh my God, this new feature, let's go build an app in 10 seconds, whatever the case might be. And I think that's great. And all that stuff has a place and that's awesome. And if you're ready for it, do it. 90% of the companies, Nathan, they're not ready for it. Like they don't even understand the data that they have. You and I, I did a Barcelona Edge for YPO this year. I'm doing Sydney coming up in a couple months. I've spoken to around 3,000 CEOs in the last 2.5 years, and I can count on two hands and 2 feet the number of CEOs that really understand their data in their company, what data they're collecting. So that's got nothing to do with generative AI. That's all about machine learning AI. And a lot of CEOs are like, well, what's machine learning AI? It's like, are you kidding me, really? And so the way I try to simplify for them is, hey, do you have a Netflix account? And they say, yes. Okay, well, when you're done watching a show on Netflix, it asks you thumbs up or thumbs down. It's because it wants you to train the algorithms. So that's the data Netflix is creating. So first you got to start out with your own data, understand the data you have. And there's just skipping the whole thing because when I talk about that, and I said that that's been a little money on CapEx, all they see is cash going out the door, but they don't understand that that's the investment you got to make to have a long-term success in AI. So I guess just to boil it down is don't worry about rushing to build agents. A, understand your data first. B, let's figure out how to just prompt because B, and then C, if you go into ChatGPT or if you go to Gemini or Grok or whatever tool you want to use, and you do a search for, let's just say there's a company that's selling barbecue sauce. You want to know if you go and you really rely on Google search engine optimization to help drive traffic to your site. If you go put in best barbecue sauce in the United States and you're not showing up, you're dead. You're screwed. So don't worry about building agents. First, fix how you have to understand that ChatGPT is an answer engine. It's not a search engine, it's an answer engine. So how do you fix that? So how you fix that is by flooding the zone with content and having a ton of content out there. But we can talk about that more here if you want. But that's the challenge, right? Which is stop spending all this money and all these fancy advanced tools when you don't even have the foundation of the house built.
You brought up a great point about the prompt. Unpack for listeners what makes a great prompt or why you call that out as one of the ingredients to making effective use of AI.
There's multiple ways to do prompting, right? Most people are just going to ChatGPT and saying, can you help me with a business idea for a new event and whatever. They get very generic. The prompt's very generic. So it doesn't have enough information to really give you a really good answer. The best prompts are the ones that do 4 things. They give ChatGPT a role. So what's that role you want ChatGPT to play? So, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to take on the role of an amazing executive coach in the vein of Steve Jobs. Task is, I need to transform my business. I want to come up with a brand new event in the finance space, something that's kind of never been done before. I'm tired of going to these same old conferences like ACG and other things. So I want to come up with this plan to drive business that can act as lead gen for my business. Context is, boy, I really want to make sure it's amazing, it's unique. I want it to have a blue ocean strategy feel to it and know that we do put on some events already. Here's the link to those events. We've had moderate success with those events, but there's so many of these things. I just don't think that there's enough differentiation. The ask is, give me a framework of 3 different suggestions you have acting as my business coach on what we think we can do together on a domestic and international basis. So that whole thing I just went through is probably 300-400 words when it's all said and done, not 5. So the best prompts have that role, task, context, ask. Those are the 4 key components of a really good prompt. And at the end of the day, I just want people more than anything to do 2 things if they take away nothing from this podcast, which is prompting is really important. It's just as important, if not more important than understanding agents, which is great. Agents are really important, but right now understand prompting. And then B, if your business really relies on Google search, you got to make sure you're showing up in the LLM search or the AI searches that are out there. And if you're not showing up, you're going to be out of business in the next 2 or 3 years. And you don't want that. And I don't want that. And nobody wants that. So how do you fix that? You have to flood this all with content.
Now, a big concern about AI is the effect on the human side of both interaction, interpersonal relationships, and also the physical presence of people in certain roles and jobs. What's your, how do you survey the landscape right now in terms of what AI is doing uh, to humanity and either engaging or disengaging people?
Look, I think it's a real concern for some people, right? If I look at the glass that empty approach to this, it's a big deal. It's an issue. There's a lot of people outsourcing critical thinking. I'm not here to say it's not a problem. It's an absolute problem. But if I look at the glasses half full approach, if I can outsource my day-to-day tasks to AI, that should allow me to go spend more time interacting with people and going to the gym or making calls or focusing on sales or doing other things. If you think of your business, and you ask yourself, Nathan, how much of my day is just this manual tasks that just are repetitive tasks that I have to get done. If you can get 20, 30, 40% of that stuff off your plate, you can probably do 1 or 2 extra podcasts a month. That's more interaction. So that's just a simple way to say it. And I was one of those people when ChatGPT first came out. So like I had sold an AI company 12 years ago before it was chic. And then I went to MIT and I got a dual certification in AI from MIT. And one of my professors at MIT, she was on the team that did that whole project where if you Google it, you'll find it, which said, we're going to take old breast cancer images, and we're going to rescan them using LLMs or ChatGPT essentially. So they did that. They took 33,000 old breast cancer images and they found 11 additional cases. Now, if you're those 11 women and families of those 11 women, are you angry or are you happy? You're probably a little bit of both. I don't necessarily blame the radiologists, people, doctors. I mean, people, people miss stuff, people make mistakes. That's the human element of this whole thing. And so, but the reason why I bring this up is because I was very much in the camp up until about 6 months ago, maybe even less, that AI would replace radiologists in a big way. Because why do you need a radiologist? Let AI just scan it and get your results and bada bing, you're done, move on. What the research found was hospitals actually double the hiring of the radiologists, or greatly, maybe not double, but pretty close. But they greatly increased the size of the radiology departments. Do you know why? Because the AI could now push through 100 scans a day, whereas before the doctors could only do 10. So now they need more radiologists to talk to the patients. And now they can be more proactive and start to focus more on preventative stuff and help people, guide people more through the journey of what to do if you have an issue with breast cancer. I think the world is still, I think the jury is out on which way it's going to go. I tend to believe that every time there's a technological evolution, there's always some of that happens, but then life finds a way and interaction finds a way.
I'd like to ask for you to take us through a week or a few days of the every person's life and, thinking over the next 7 days. Where is AI showing up that may be unexpected or a surprise to me as I just do my day-to-day activities of waking up, working out, going shopping, maybe having conversations, spending family time, going to see other professionals, planning a vacation, etc. What's happening in that space that's really infiltrating my exposure or interaction with AI?
Great question, Nathan. So do you remember the little thing I said about Netflix, for example? So what people understand, there's really 2 kinds of AI. There's that machine learning AI, which is very data centric, but it requires human interaction to train the algorithm. When you open up Instagram, my Instagram feed's probably different than your Instagram feed, probably different than Luke's Instagram feed. And so why? Because we're probably looking at different things. And, for example, up until a week ago, my Instagram feed was full of Dodger baseball highlights because I'm a big Dodger fan. And now I'm starting to get more and more Laker content, for example, right? I get more stuff about Orange County, California, where I'm based, and you probably get more stuff about Jackson or wherever you are. And so that's all machine learning AI. That's not using ChatGPT stuff. That's just day to day. So we're already surrounded by AI. Google Maps uses AI to get you where you're going. Netflix uses AI to get you better content for you to watch. They all do it, whether it's Apple TV, Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, whatever, they all do it. There is, like Lifetime Fitness. If anybody's a member of Lifetime Fitness, in their app now, they have a fitness ChatGPT wrapper built right into their app where you could say, hey, I'm having a hard time breaking through doing 10 push-ups a day. What do I do? And it literally gives you a full plan on what to do. And so more and more of this stuff just getting integrated into our daily lives. A lot of it we just don't realize is being integrated into our daily lives. We're surrounded by it already. We're surrounded by AI already. We just don't realize. Now, in terms of where what a typical life is going to look like or what it looks like now or over a 7-day week. If you break it down to personal, yeah, you could use ChatGPT to help you build out your own fitness plan and your own food plan. If you want ChatGPT to build you a meal plan, say, here it is, here's the role. I want you to take on the role of a famous chef, whatever, unless whoever you like, Jose Andreas, Wolfgang Puck, whatever you like. The task is I need you to build me a macro-based plan. Here are my macros. Here's the number of calories I want to have. The context is I hate broccoli and well, I don't, but I don't like asparagus, and I really want to try to limit red meat, and I really want to make sure that I have a really good mix, and I want to make sure, and please include some dark chocolate as whatever chocolate I need to have, or whatever it might be, right? The ask is give me a full 7-day plan and a grocery shopping list, and it'll do it. It'll do it for you in 30 seconds. And you can go through and edit it, and you can look at it, and you can say, hey, all right, I want to change it. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do it. But then in the future, you'll be able to go and say, no, buy everything on that list for me and have it just delivered via DoorDash or whatever. And it's done for you. And so that's an example, like just on the personal side. On the family side, maybe you want to plan a vacation, right? If you want to plan a vacation we were just talking about Finland, right? If you want to plan a vacation to the Northern Lights, you could say, hey, I want you to take on the role of an amazing travel planner who's got experience taking families of 6 or 4 or 5, whatever you have, to Finland. And then, and you do the same thing. From a business perspective, it might be, you can sync your ChatGPT, and this is where some of the automation comes in play. You can use tools like Zapier and some of the smaller agents and start taking your calendar to it. If you have Microsoft Teams, you'll have Outlook, and you'll have PowerPoint, you'll have Word, you'll have Excel with essentially Copilot, which is a version of ChatGPT already integrated in, and it'll help you with your slides, help you understand your finances. And, in the future, and I think you can do it now. I know you can do it in Google Sheets where you can directly prompt within the cell, for example, in Microsoft Excel. So it's just a matter of figuring these things out. Like if you have, like I was helping a friend the other day who has a child who's on the autism and ADHD spectrum. And they are really struggling with getting the son tested. So we went in there, we used ChatGPT, we gave it the parameters, and he lives in the Northeast, and it listed 7 doctors that specialize in helping to find these types of solutions. Now, and then it said, do you want us to craft, you want me to craft you an email that you can send to these 7 doctors, or a letter you can send them, or whatever the case might be. He didn't want to do that stuff. He took all the information, wrote it down, and now he's calling all 7 of them. I have to find out what he did with them. But my guess is he'll find somebody, one of the 7, that will help him that he's been struggling with now for the last year or so. I've been struggling with for the last year or so. So, I mean, in terms of our life, it's going to be in all aspects of our lives. I mean, just look at this call. I mean, we're on the Zoom, it's being recorded, and Luke and these guys are going to be able to use some AI stuff to go in and open. You can use Opus Clip or different things to cut and edit and all this stuff. And it's going to be, whatever they want to do. So there's going to be a lot of change, but there's also going to be a lot of opportunity.
Now, you attended our True Wealth retreat a short while ago, and we gathered about 19 leaders from various industries and walks of life and came together to explore what true wealth means to them and what's the purpose, what's the mission, where's the energy source, and how do we move forward into our individual lives and our communities and make impact. I'm curious, what were some of the observations or takeaways from your experience at that retreat? And maybe if anything influencing the way you think about your world as you're looking ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, thank you to you and Amanda, Allison, and the whole team for having me. It was a great time. I loved it. I wasn't sure what to expect, right? We joked around that we thought it was going to be some sort of cult thing, but it was a lot of fun. I think it just shows the power of when you can get like-minded people together, and maybe even some of these folks have slightly different takes on life, but you can sit and have these conversations. You can talk about what type of world you want to build. And I think that's always a good thing. And to me, I thought it was an amazing retreat, and I loved it. And I look forward to being part of future ones. But you said the word that I was going to use, which is impact. It's everybody there. And quite frankly, I was, in terms of people that are successful in impact, there are folks there that were way more talented than me. And so I was grateful to be part of that. And I'm definitely just thankful that you had me there. But the ability to get together with folks and understand what they want to do, from people like Janet the Planet, that's literally her name, right? Wants to have an impact on the planet. To me, it's just whenever you can get people together and you can have these conversations and you feel like you'll try to make a difference. And, society right now is, unfortunately, there's a lot of, everything is either black or white or heads or tails. There's no in between. There's no common, like you can't have any common ground with anybody anymore. So I think the more we can come together and try to find those common grounds is the way we're going to, I think, heal society. And I think just having these things, and with AI coming on the AI front, and we talked about it at the retreat a little bit, there's going to be challenges with AI. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be real challenges. There's going to be some job loss. There's going to be challenges, but I also think long term, there's going to be a real big benefit. I can tell you, as humanity, we have a choice. We can use all of these tools and build a utopian future, or we're going to build a dystopian future. And so the choice is going to be ours. And hopefully, folks that were at the retreat and others, and will be able to influence the powers to be that let's focus on building a utopian future.
Well, there's something about the power of community when we connect with one another in meaningful ways. And that's our belief, is that we can create a world of people that have a sense of purpose, a sense of impact. Our company tagline is, we just don't manage wealth, we create impact. And we do that one by one. And when we join together, we can truly make impact in a way that's so much powerful when we're doing it as community. Rajeev, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat today. Look forward to spending more time in our Outlook event, diving deeper into AI and its impact. And thank you for the work that you're doing and the great impact you're making.
And thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing you and the team at Jackson here, and really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to more than anything sitting in that canoe.
Here we go. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. To discover what wealth means to you, please take our assessment at planningalt.com.